So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of MindShifters Radio, and today is Monday, September the 4th, 2023, and a lot of you may be off work today because it is Labor Day, and we hope you're enjoying your day, a great time, and we'll give Michael a moment to dial in, and switching around on the switchboard here is our calling number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. And we would love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And we have Arya all day today because she doesn't have school. And I'll turn on Susan's microphone. Thank you for the gift of the manger scene, of the characters. I did send you a link to a video. I videoed her opening each character and saying what it was, and so that was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I hope you could.
You're welcome. I didn't see where the link was sent. Did you send it to?
It's in your email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's about 2 minutes long, and her opening each one of the pieces and saying whether it was Mary or Jesus or the wise men. And she says one of the wise men is a woman, actually. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
They were very advanced
it's really
back
cute.
then.
Yeah. So thank you very much. We got that today, and we have her all day today.
So that helped.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So she opened it up and looked at each piece, and so she's got them playing with them. So thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a small little thank you.
It's awesome. It's awesome, and we do appreciate it. So Michael has joined us, so I'm going to welcome Michael, too.
Thank you, dear heart. Yeah, it's a really beautiful set. Thank you. She has been telling herself stories about it already. She's setting it up and putting them in different groupings.
Good.
So how are you today, young lady?
Pretty well, thanks. How are you?
I'm rocking, doing well.
Good.
Ready for fall to start arriving. We're starting to get shorter days here and longer nights and cooler evenings down into the 50s.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the season. The signs of the season are changing already. We actually, back a few weeks ago, we noticed that we had several flocks, like maybe 100 to 200 birds at a time, geese, fly directly over our house. It was just like you could almost set your clock 8:30, and it was bright daylight. And now, about 8:30, when the birds fly over, it's dark out or almost dark. So,
wow, yeah,
it's changing.
Mhm.
So, what's exciting in your world? What's on your mind for today?
Tim just did a worksheet, and it was terrific. It was great. He's had a hard time with this, very focused on a certain mechanical issue in the house, but it seemed to be so much more than that. So it was wonderful to have Dr. Tim take him through the worksheet in such a good way.
Sweet.
So that was good. Yeah, I did have a question I was going to ask last week. And
right.
I'm of two minds about a core issue that's come up I've gone way back to before I even have a personal memory. It's a story about my birth and about my beginnings as an infant, which showed me something about why I've been in the position I've been in my family and had the issues that I've had, but I don't remember that issue. I can just picture it. And at one point, years ago, I went to a retreat. It was called the Shalom Retreats, and it was the Catskill Mountains. And facilitator, a wonderful, very amazing man named Gerald Judd, and I'm not even sure, Judd, not even sure he's still alive.
Right.
They start with working on a mat, and they start you hyperventilating. They'll even push on your chest until you're really hyperventilating, and usually a lot of emotion is released.
Right.
In that. And that was the way, I don't know what that was called, but he put me on this mat, and I said, I can't tell you what's going on. It's way, way before, and I didn't have any idea what this issue was at all, except to tell him that when I was a newborn, I bit my mom on the first time on the breast, and she took me right off and put me on a bottle. Well, so what? A lot of babies weren't nursed. At that time, that era, mothers didn't do that. And my mother did not nurse any of her other babies. I don't even know if she tried. But with me, she tried, and I bit her. And I know I must have been feeling very enthusiastic about milk and bosoms and everything else, because I don't think I was mad when I came out of the womb. But that was the situation, and I very nonchalantly told him this. And this guy laid me on a mat, had people surround me on all sides and hold me down. And I said, look, this isn't necessary. Then he took a spoon and put it near my mouth, and instinctively I could see the spoon had nothing on it. But I lifted my head to take what was on the spoon, and he drew it away.
Right.
He did that twice. On the second time, it's as if I split off from myself, and I was absolutely howling, just howling. And this is not a memory. I mean, I'm telling you a memory of this mat trip, they call them. But he said, okay, now you know. You know, that was a big deal for you. Now you know. So I've known that. Well, so what? Except what I'm trying to work on is so early that I've had no direct access to it. And I've thought for that reason alone I might take this issue to the grave. But it has shown up in one form over and over and over again throughout my life. And I just don't know where to go with it. Because it's not a desire. I don't have any thoughts about this. It's just a thing that happened. And I don't even know if that means anything.
Right. Is it something you have a story that you were told about that happening, or is that just what presents itself in that experience with that in that workshop?
Well, I had been told, and that's why they put me down on the mat. I'd been told that I was not nursed and that I had bitten my mother on the first try. And she wasn't about to put up with any nonsense from a baby.
So that was a story that you carried around about your birth or shortly after your birth.
Right. Sure, I have no memory of that.
Right. Okay.
But, so my basic question is, if I can't access it in any way, am I sort of stuck to never get over it because it manifests? No. Okay.
No. Right. My offering is that a cognitive memory of an event is not required to process the energy of that event. I see people all the time processing through things where, and the breath is a key. Now, I certainly wouldn't be, getting people to purposely hyperventilate and then hold them down to induce or replicate a trauma. That sounds pretty bizarre to me, but I do know that if somebody pushes and pushes and pushes the breath, that it can lead to an experience of physiological trauma.
So
I know. I remember. Go ahead.
You're saying that what happened on the mat just happened on the mat, and it had nothing to do with anything in the past, then?
Well, of course, I don't know. Was that a memory that you were on the edge of processing? I don't know. What you're bringing to mind, I had a medical doctor that used to come to my workshops quite often, And somebody else had introduced him to breathwork. And when he came to my workshop, of course, part of the intensive is still point breathing, but he liked the physical sensations of really just pushing on his breath. So it didn't matter how much I tried to get him to slow down. Look, we're not looking to induce physiological trauma here. That's not the idea. We want to just slow down and just do a nice, slow, connected breath. He would huff like a train every time he did a still point session. He would never actually do still point because he had that thing where he liked to get into that physiological trauma state. So whether that was relative to the original memory or not, who knows? You know, if the cognitive memory didn't come, I mean, I've seen thousands of times where cognitive memory does open up when one's in a still point process, but not as a result of doing a pushed hyperventilation type breath. And that perhaps opens some of you'll remember that you found the still point process somewhat difficult, and I wonder if a worksheet or two around that might release that memory. Like if you go back to that point where did he explain why he's having people hold you down?
No, he just thought that we were going to have an explosive something. And the fact that he used a spoon and it was supposed to be an invitation to eat made me think that he was really doing it based on that little snippet of a story that I'd been told about being a newborn. He wouldn't have done that unless he had that story. And the fact that story, I don't even think he was breathing me at that point. I think that was way past. I don't remember that was the beginning of this. He just had me lie down and had people around me. They weren't forcefully holding me down, but he expected something to happen and wanted to be available or protected or whatever. I didn't go there, but so I've just been, but that memory, that story had not come to mind until very recently. About a month ago, Tim Hayes was working with me on something having to do with a friend of mine, and that opened up a lot of stuff, and a lot of it I felt wasn't even usable on the radio show. It was too, I just didn't want to do it on the radio show, but I'm getting to the point where I can talk about it a little bit. But somehow this is an important piece of a story. I don't know why it's important, and I haven't finished working on it, but the great thing is I feel really well. But I have this, it's like a spot in me that I can approach an abyss and put my toes over the edge of the abyss and look down. And in the early morning, sometimes I'll wake up just feeling horrible. Not exact, it's more like depression, like being bereft, as if I'm just not going to be able to breathe and live. But it's so inaccessible to reason. But I'm sitting right near it and doing mainly not even worksheets anymore. It's mainly been journal writing, tons and tons. A couple of MindShifters, you gave me one, Tim Hayes gave me one. I don't even remember them now. They were early on. It's mostly just journal writing. So I don't know how to work intelligently on the radio show at all. Anyway.
I guess go ahead.
Tim asked me in one session, he said, what is it that you're not telling people? I may even misremember the question. What is it that you're not saying? And I thought, wait a minute, I'm really open. I'm probably too open. What is it? What is this that I'm not saying? I'm not quite sure what that is either, but it might be connected to all this. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to ask if when you have this energetic experience, like you're on the edge of that abyss, is there anything, that you're anticipating in your day? It sounds, anything that you can connect it to? every Tuesday I go to thus and so, and it seems like it happens on
No.
Is there anything at all that,
No.
because that could be a key way into a worksheet that might help to open it.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I've got a life that I really like. I don't have anything that I'm doing that I might dread or find onerous.
Right.
So,
well, that's an awesome thing.
It is. It's wonderful.
So I guess the next piece of the puzzle for me would be then to ask Ruka, become willing to listen and ask Ruka to show you, is there something here that I need to work through? And get into a quiet space, maybe do a little bit of breathing, and in that quiet space, just ask to be shown and let it come.
Yeah.
And, it may come as a sensation, it may come, and then be open to being guided as to how to interpret whatever comes. You wake up in the morning with that dread going on. It's like, well, look at, something's just beneath the surface here, I think. And what's going on? Show me what I need to deal with here, and see what, a color might show up, a visual might show up, a memory, That'd be my best input, is just to ask when you're on the edge of that energy.
Okay. It's just mainly a feeling of being really not safe. And I know right in my whole life, I'm probably safer than 99.9% of the people on this planet. And we are dealing with some pretty serious traumas with the refugees right now. They come into the country and have nothing, no support, nothing, no money, no language, nowhere to go, no food, no clothes. I've talked about that before.
Unimaginable, isn't it?
It is.
Except that you're watching
Totally.
it.
Yeah. And doing a little bit here and there, and being amazed at their resilience. Thank God most of them are a lot younger. They've got a lot of vitality. Young parents with little kids, and of course they're on red alert to keep the kids safe. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. And maybe, you go to the movies and watch these scary things. I go to the refugee center and have to do a wake-up sheet on Mrs. So-and-so who... Oh, so anyway,
right.
Thanks.
Well, a mind shifter might be useful.
All right, got my pencil ready. Okay.
Safety and deep security.
Okay.
Have always been my companion in life. Just something as simple as that. I'd spend some time writing and just see, the way you're talking about it, and then you bring up the example of what's going on with the refugees, and that might just be enough to open the file on a deeper level and get you to take a look, the ability to take a look at whatever the underlying energy is. Just keep it simple.
Okay. All right. That's good.
See what result it produces, and in the meantime, we'll be holding the space. Jeanie, do you have any thoughts, any input?
No, I think that's good. I like the mind shifter there, because that would definitely trigger different times when safety or security were not, or seem to not be, in my life.
And how about we add just a little bit to it, and that is, especially in the presence of others' rage or abuse. Does that shift anything? Does that move anything for you?
It absolutely does nothing, and I'm wondering why, because I see why you're saying that. It's like it's not applicable yet.
Right.
There's a kind of a danger that predates that that's just dark.
Right. Well, when you speak about some of the abuse you took as a child, and I can only imagine that if a mother, and I've worked with many mothers over the years that have had a tough time breastfeeding, and most of them have just gone through it, but to be so vehement as to that's it, there's never going to be any more breastfeeding because of one experience, it seems like it was probably must have really triggered a space in her, and it's one that you got to bear the brunt of several times as a child, and maybe there's something there in the root of it to be worth opening up and see if you just spend some time making sure that you're breathing as you do that worksheet or that mind shifter, and asking for guidance as to, is there something underneath? Otherwise, I'd let go of it and forget about it.
Forget about what? The clause? The clause?
Working on that piece. Instead of trying to pursue it with my mind and trying to figure it out, I'd just be in the space of acceptance of the sweetness and the beauty and the security that you have and live with it. And, if something else triggers, great, but otherwise I'd let loose of it.
Okay. I do know that I had babies too, and both babies bit. And you learn to keep a finger right nearby to break that vacuum and take them off. And they quickly learn that they lose the milk if they do that. And they're quick. They learn fast.
Yes, so, I bet they do.
Yeah. And so I
bless women for the commitment they have.
Yeah. Well, it's scary at first because those little gums, there are no teeth, but the gums are pretty
sharp.
And but so I have thought, my mother was taking care of 3 other kids. They were small. We 2 smallest ones were surprises, as she kindly puts it. And my brother was asthmatic, and she spent nights walking the floor with him because she had one relative who owned a cat who kept showing up. And my brother would have these life-threatening episodes of asthma, and she'd be walking the floor at night with him. And
bless her heart.
Up until he was, she was exhausted. So I understand why she might have said, 1 chance and you're out, 1 strike and you're out.
Yeah.
But that is sort of the flavor of the day there. So.
Right.
So you're right, it might have been just hopelessness. Like, I'm not going to put up with this. This is ridiculous. No baby's going to do that.
3 babies and a 4th one. The level of stress, especially with one of them being asthmatic. I oftentimes, I was almost dead 3 or 4 times first year of my life from lung issues, and I oftentimes just have this empathy come up in me, and the inclination to apologize for the load that had to be for my parents. It's just...
Oh, yeah.
I fortunately, with our babies, with Arya, I've never had to face what is a life-threatening situation with any of them.
Right.
And to have to face that for a mother, it's just got to be, talk about stress beyond stress.
Yeah, tremendous. And at that time, it was the depression, no money. She was lonely. She'd been an only child. She had no capacity to understand the pandemonium of 3 babies and now a 4th one. My dad working morning till night to support us. So very hard.
Big. I can't even, when you really let your mind get into it, we can't even imagine the level of stress that must have been.
No.
It's just so huge.
And they had
bless her.
no tools, and they didn't talk about stuff at all. It was all, what's to eat and what are you going to wear and let me do your hair. And they didn't talk. When I had small children and my mother was visiting and I talked to my kids about their feelings about things, and she said, "You talk to them?" I've probably told this. She said, "You talk to them like that? You talk to them about those things?" And I said, "Mom, they're smart, and they have a lot of feelings and stuff on their mind." She said, "I never talked to you like that." And I said, "I know. It wasn't in your culture. None of you talked like that."
Right.
So there was all that bottled up.
Yeah. Time to acknowledge yourself for the monumental change that you made in one generation, and that you had the wherewithal to do that. Give that gift to your kids.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
That's pretty amazing.
It came from playing with dolls. I told my dolls everything. I tell you, they educated me, my dolls.
Mm-hmm. Well, I watch Arya, and she is, from the minute she arrives here to the minute she leaves, she's pretty much in one continuous story. She's always verbalizing. She's always got a story going on, and it's pretty amazing. And making a space for that and being with her through that and supporting it. We've had conversations with her about make sure, she knows very clearly the difference between reality and actuality. And when she'll ask it to do something, and it's like, well, this isn't real. Well, no, this is pretend. And she knows that, but we've acknowledged her imagination there and told her to make sure, keep that imagination going. Make sure that's your companion for your whole life. It will always support you and always serve you.
Nice.
Yeah, it has been. She is just an amazing gift to us. And yes, her conversations with her dolls are just an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I definitely experience her as a blessing, and get to experience, the fact that we can bring the work we've done through this work to her at this early age. I consider that to be another blessing that we get to receive and that we get to share with her.
That's so great. What kind of a grown-up is she going to be? Wow.
I am excited and delighted to just watch the process. The other day, she was leaving, and Jeanie usually drives her home, and I stayed here. And she was going out the door, and I called her. I said, "I cherish you, sweetie." And she turned around, and, she just turned 5. And so she'll oftentimes mimic what we say. But both Jeanie and I noticed, she was literally out the door, and Jeanie was almost to the car. But Jeanie heard her return that to me, and both of us were like, there's a whole new level of, she wasn't just saying words, it was a whole new level of her truly sending that energy of love in my direction. Jeanie picked up, we talked about it. Jeanie said, "Do you remember when she was going out there?" And I said, "Yeah, I just like, there was such a bolt of energy that came from her." And she's like, "Yeah, it was almost a car, and I felt it, and I heard the words, and it was just," so definitely feeling blessed.
That's so great. Good, and
I can only imagine as you watch those. Say again?
I said it takes a lot of energy too to match the energy of a little person like that. So hand it to you. Whoa.
No. Well, I certainly receive it, and in particular, I acknowledge the gifts that you've given to those young men in your life who've been troubled, and your grandsons, and how you've nurtured them through it, and how you've taken that understanding and gifted them with it. That's pretty amazing. They're the kind of gifts that are going to keep on giving for those young men.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke's doing really well.
I particularly am inspired by Luke. Oh, really?
Yep, he's
Well, I'm
lead
particularly
guitarist
inspired by
in a
what's going on
band.
with him. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's amazing. But he's got a paying gig, and he's still in school, but he's a really master guitarist, very creative. So, and this
Really?
is what he wants to do. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that so early, I mean, I used to have a nightclub in my restaurant, two of my restaurants.
Yeah.
And when I look at what a lot of musicians that we hired went through, you know, being in a bar, it was pretty horrific. So that he's clear enough that he's going to stay clean and do his program at his tender age going into that he's got such a leg up on so many musicians that are just lost in their gig.
I know. There's so much using.
So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Susan,
Yeah?
we have somebody wants to say something to you.
Thank you for Jesus.
I wish it were true. You're welcome. Yeah, let him talk to you. He'll tell you the best stuff in the world. You know, Arya.
You pray to him, don't you?
At school.
Yeah, at school you do too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She just wanted to tell you that.
Oh, thanks, Arya.
Cool. And what a nice retort for her. Thank you.
You're
Yeah, that's
welcome.
awesome.
Yeah. He'll tell her stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, anything else on your mind for today?
No, this is great. Thank you, Michael and Jeanie, as always.
All right. You're appreciated, and we extend our love in your direction, and keep me posted for Wednesday.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's very iffy. Not sure anything's going to happen.
Okay. I will hold the space.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Miss Jeanie. Well, we're at the halfway point already. Do we have anybody else in the chat room or anything?
No, nobody has a hand up. So somebody push 1 and you're first in line. No waiting.
Don't have a hand up. And bouncing off of the interchange that just took place between Arya and Susan, and the messages that Yeshua offers to the world that are really just so profoundly powerful. And if we can just listen to them and get out of the brainwash of the culture, you know, there's a simple statement that comes through pretty clearly even in the Greek translations where Yeshua says, ask and you receive. And to understand that everything that shows up in our lives shows up because there's a part of us that needs it. There's a part of us that's asking for it. Now, most people want in their heads, and they think that since they put the want in their heads, they've asked for it. But if you take the next level of refinement out of the ancient scriptures, what it says is, take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues in life. And in our modern updated language, that word heart would be unconscious. Take care what's in the depths of your mind in places that you're not aware of, because that's where your wanter is. So we can say something in our heads, oh, I want millions of dollars. And if in my heart, in the file, remember that information is stored in files, so to speak, but if in the file in my heart, I came to the conclusion, let's say, watching mom and dad fight over money, I'm bring this out of a situation where I had worked with someone, and this was what was uncovered in a mind shifter. And when he touched into the deeper parts of his own mind as he wrote this mind shifter about money, was that around money issues, the memory came of watching his mother and father fight over money and Dad leaving, and he never saw him again. And linked in his heart was money and Dad leaving. Relationships and money meant conflict. And so if one asks in their head, oh, I have millions of dollars, but in their heart, there's an underlying mind energy belief that money destroys relationships, then when the request is provided, when the result is manifest, it's going to come along with a great strain on relationship. So that's where that directive, take care of the heart, the unconscious out of it are the issues in life. So the asker, so to speak, and when they say ask and you receive, is in your heart, in your unconscious. And so accumulated energies in the unconscious is what set up the resonance that draws experiences to us, out of which we create results. And if one's oblivious to that, then they can destroy themselves in the process of asking for wonderful things. You hear the comments that people make. There's a friend of mine who's a musician, Greg Tamblin, someone that, he's not a deep personal friend or anything, but someone that over the years of being on the road, every once in a while we'd cross paths. He'd be doing the music at a Unity Center that I was speaking at or what have you. And I just happened to come across a post of his today where he's got the 10 most terrible whiny love songs. Got a song he's written about it, and it's quite hilarious because he talks about relationships and all, how people want wonderful things. But seriously, if you look at it, one of the songs that came to mind, he didn't have this particular one in his mind, but can you imagine a small impressionable child or a young man or a young woman, especially one who's emotionally compromised or hurt, if they tap into a song like this one? You'll probably remember the melody line of it. And it goes like this. The words of it go like this. Patches, oh, what can I do? Patches, I'm waiting for you. It may not be right, but I'll join you tonight. Patches, I'm coming to you. And it's a song about a lover who's committed suicide. And here's this person getting ready to commit suicide to go and be with their dead lover. And you look at, you think about mind energy becomes flesh. Mind energy, if we go to the opening words in the book of John, if you haven't heard this particular thought from the Aramaic, in the Aramaic it doesn't say in the beginning was the Word and the Word became flesh. It says in the beginning was the mind energy and the mind energy became flesh. And you look at the thought disorder that goes into the impressionable mind. Let's say, someone who's a young teen that's, entering their first relationship and, the relationship breaks apart for whatever reason, traumatic or not, doesn't matter. And then they sit and listen to this kind of thought disorder that I'm going to commit suicide because I want to be with you so much because you're the source of my happiness. And what kind of results do people produce when they buy into? So if you want to take a quick look, Greg Tamblin, Tamblin, and the 10 whiny love songs, and put it into YouTube, and he does a really quite a hilarious job of pointing out the thought disorders that people buy into. And if you can remember early years where you did those sorts of things, where you bought into those sorts of things, and then you just look at the power phrases that people come up with. You know, something happens and somebody pops out of their mouths with, "Oh, that just kills me." It's like, well, chalk one up for impending death. Or that's a killer sandwich, or that's to die for. Common thought disorders being used in regular everyday speech without people having a realization that it's our thoughts that literally generate the directives that become our behavior. You know, you listen to Paul and he talks about be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And yet, sadly, much of churchianity, again, many people on another path doing incredible things, but at the same time, much of churchianity is playing off of the thought disorders and keeping people in fear. And remembering that, you know, when a particular energetic pattern becomes the predominant resonating energy in the unconscious, life will use that energy through resonance, and the path of least resistance will open up to deliver the requested result, because we live in a world of ask and receive. Quite literally. Now people say, well, you know, but I didn't get what I asked for. Well, but you need to look at what's going on in your heart, because it's not what your lips say, it's what moves within you. You know, people say, oh, he turned left instead of right, and then, you know, there was an accident. Well, no, if one has the predominant resonant energy of death moving within them, and a big part, you'll remember Yeshua also says the power of life and death is in our words. If one's going down the road and makes that left turn as they plan to, but if they make a right, the fulfillment of the request is waiting for them, then something within them will touch the mainspring of inclination, and they'll end up taking that right turn. And they'll meet their demise. So my offering would be, there are no accidents. Everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is delivered to every creator on time, in order, according to the accumulated demands of their hearts. So we get to interact with and play with people who have the matching energies. And then if you interact with someone and some emotionally traumatized thought in your mind attaches to your brain's image of them and you enter into the blame game, if Yesh were staying there watching you do that, he'd say, wait, stop. There's something in your unconscious that you're putting into your brain's image of your brother. You're making your brother wrong because of what's been triggered in you. And you need to remove that from your unconscious. You need to remove that from your heart. It's not a bleeding heart statement. It's an instruction to learn how to remove from the unconscious that which one blames others for. Liam Neeson has a wonderful quote where he says, everyone says love hurts, but that's not true. Everyone gets these things confused with love, but in reality, love is the only thing in this world that covers up and heals all pain and makes someone feel wonderful again. Love is the only thing in the world that does not hurt. People come together out of relationship based in matching bags of garbage, and of course the world calls those relationships love relationships. Then they'll come out of it singing, oh gee, there's a song for that. Love hurts. Remember the melody line of that? Love. I mean, they repeat it over and over and over again. So, you know, the Greeks had one very powerful piece of the puzzle. And they said, guard the portals of the mind. Actually, two pieces, because another one the Greeks said was, know thyself. Become acquainted with your own unconscious dynamics. And know that if you're willing to enter into the practice of bringing love present in your mind, in your body, in your affairs, then it's that presence of love that becomes the light in which the truth becomes visible. And the truth is, if you've ever held a newborn, and you've ever tapped into the essence of the newborn, that's what we are. The newborn is not loving you. The newborn simply is love. It's a state of being. It's a noun that with practice I can maintain no matter what others do. It's the key to healing both self and others. If I think love's a verb, as our culture has misled us into thinking, I attempt to love you, which is an impossibility. And it's time to give that up. Course in Miracles says it very clearly. A course whose purpose is to teach you to remember what you really are could fail to emphasize that there can never be a difference in what you really are and what love is. They are identical, and the Course further says, teach only love, for that is what you are. And when your mind chooses to do something else, make sure you breathe and do the work around it to free yourself of whatever that unconscious dynamic is. And of course, when that happens, that can create a significant amount of stress in relationship. And if I remember to recognize that what I put into my brain's image of another is mine, and how do I tell? Because I'm the one who's feeling it, then I can change my mind about what I put into my brain's image of you. And I change that through forgiveness. So if I maintain the presence of my own being in your presence, I've achieved the goal of being the presence of love with you. The highest form of expression that's possible for a human being. I can embrace you in my being, but strictly speaking, I'm not loving you. I am being that space of active love. Carl Jung, in his writing, explains, if we don't understand what it is here that I'm talking about, he says it this way. Our mentality is distinguished by the shameless naivety with which we judge our enemy, and the judgment we pronounce upon him or her, we unwillingly reveal, in the judgment we pronounce on them, we unwillingly reveal our own defects. We simply accuse the quote-unquote enemy of our own unadmitted faults. In other words, if I'm not experiencing love, it's an inside job. I have work to do. And of course, don't we all? If you engage in your own internal healing process, what is not love in you, you'll be healing the thug that you think you see out there in the world. You'll be healing the thug that when you see thuggery, you're upset. So another's deficiency is not the cause of our own hostility or desire to fight, and it certainly doesn't require us to stoop to their level. The only one who suffers from our hostility is ourselves. We get the original, they get the carbon copy, and they may not be home for delivery. Test that verifies that the feeling you're experiencing is yours or not. You know, we've developed this test. It took many years to understand and develop, and it can be a really challenging one. How do you tell whether or not you're experiencing is yours or not? Are you experiencing it? That's all you need to know. And if you listen to our Healing Through Relationships workshop, the commitment is a tool that one uses in order to support the integrity of our own energy field, of our human lives. That is the presence of love. It's the truth about who we are. Our culture's trained us to give it away at the slightest provocation. In that willingness to hold and own that presence of love no matter what, that brings true safety and power. If I have to protect it, then by the very act of protecting it, I've created an attack. And by creating an attack, I, through resonance, have invited attack. I have asked for an attack. Sadly, we live in a world where authorities don't want us in our true power. Because if you're in your true power, love is the only guidepost you have for action. Can you imagine a king that turns to his population and says, hey, you know, I just discovered that kingdom over there, they've got some gold that we didn't know even existed in the world, and we want it. So what I want you to do is I want you to go kill them and take it for me. So you don't find the world supporting this position very strongly. In fact, if you go back historically, you know, we've got the quote-unquote war on drugs. The war on drugs was started by a particular president who wanted to prosecute a war in Vietnam. But there were the love children who were doing psychedelics, and they went, you know, they were following songs like All You Need Is Love. And go back and you'll see Tricky Dick started the war on drugs because he wanted killers to go to Vietnam for him. I mean, it was that blatant. There's an example of what kings do. So those who lose contact with their essence will tend to train others to do the same. And when we lose contact with our essence, we lose the state of creatorship. And when you think about that, what kind of petty things have we been trained to give it up for with no realization of what it is that we're doing? And what we're giving up, literally, is our human lives. So the healing of hostile, fearful minds looks like hostility and fear coming up in those minds. And then going back in a circle to Susan's wonderful words to Krista is, you know, keep that conversation up with Yeshua because he will guide you and he will tell you.
You mean to Arya?
And I'm not meaning, or pardon me, yes, to Arya. Yes, Krista too. Slip of the Freudian tongue. And we're not talking here about a religious principle. We're talking about a life principle. And what it is that we're here to experience. So in the Healing Through Relationships workshop, we present a tool. The tool's called My Commitment, and it's been a while since we've spoken the words of the commitment on the radio show. Probably a year since the last time we spoke about it. Maybe not quite that long. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just speak the commitment to each and every one of you. And this is the tool that we teach in our Healing Through Relationships workshop as a way to heal ourselves through our interactions in relationships. You know, people can go live in a cave and they don't have to face anything, but it's in relationship that we get to look at the unconscious dynamics that perhaps we otherwise try to hide from ourselves. So my commitment to each and every one of you, Arya, if you're listening, Jeanie, Susan, Tim, anyone else, I promise to trust you enough to tell you the truth and be true to you. I commit to always be sweetness in your life, to nurture you daily and treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect in my thoughts, in my words, and in my actions, whether in your presence or not. In every interaction, I commit to affection to you, to look for and acknowledge the highest and best in you as I surrender to love, our true nature. I will use only voice tones that reflect my deep caring for you. My connection to my source, my relationship with you, and our serenity will always be more important than any issue. I open my heart to embrace you in my love, and I open my heart to be embraced in your love. If anything unlike love comes up, I will hold this in my heart and listen as I learn to speak, experience, and be responsible for my own realities. I'm here for and with you. I promise to keep communication open and keep love conscious, active, and present as we heal, celebrate life, and grow together. So I make that commitment to you. And I invite you to continue to consider reciprocating, because it's through joining in that higher vision that we each will be empowered to be the space where deeper and deeper levels of healing occur. And to me, that's what it's all about, Elfie. Another song. What's it all about, Elfie? So, Miss Jeanie, we're down to the last couple of minutes. Any thoughts for you, sweetheart?
No, I'm all good. Excellent conversations today. Thank you.
Honored and delighted.
Commitment back to you.
I accept and join you in it.
A hand just went up, but we're down to a minute and a half. Dusty, you're on the air.
Well, hi. I just wanted to say that was a beautiful talk on self-realization as love. It was just beautiful, and thank you.
Well, thank you for saying thank you, Dusty. I appreciate you.
Okay. And by the way, I did read all that Michio Kaku and everything on either side of it. And yeah, I'm on that train too of the universe that keeps repeating itself. So
yeah,
I appreciate that too. I'm sorry, that's a side trip. I wanted to tell you that. But that was beautiful.
Oh, that's cool.
Yogananda, when he came to this country, he called his outfit a self-realization fellowship. And
right.
And so, people would write and say, "Oh, it took an Indian to come on to teach us about Christ." But what you said, you just nailed it. And about if you realize who you are, then you'll realize the love, and it's all good in that sense.
Yeah, I'm with you in that, my friend.
Yeah, and if I've got 20, do I have it? 30 seconds?
Go for it. It'll cut us off when it does.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to say that also doesn't mean that we aren't all of us like an onion, and we have to be kind of a a warrior in a particular sense, sometimes we have to go through layers of our own stuff, to get to the more essential, that effulgence, that love that's at the center. And I invite people to know that going through those layers, it's an act of valor in a sense, and it's the best journey ever.
I'm in full agreement with you. I'm with you on that 100%, my friend.
Okay, well, God bless everybody, and catch you on the flip side.
All right, lots of love and blessings. Appreciate you. Take care. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world.